Good afternoon. Drew Franklin here with Tyler Thompson, Adam Luckett, and Jack Pilgrim, who we haven't seen in a while. More on that in a moment, but it's another KSR Happy Hour presented by our good friends at Without Spilling Country Boy Brew. Got a nice full one there. As always, Mondays, 4 o'clock, Happy Hours here on KSR's YouTube channel. We've been doing this all summer. It's been a lot of fun. We've got a great crowd that joins us on Mondays that always submit questions. So please partake in those. We even like the super chats if you're feeling real generous. But as always, we have a bit of a weekend recap today and then what we're looking forward to the rest of the week and a few random items on our list there that Stephen has nicely drawn up for us. And I'm just going to start with the first topic as we do our greetings here because I haven't talked to Jack Pilgrim in a while. He hadn't been on the Happy Hour in a while. He was gone for a month. Jack, what were you doing with a month off? What could possibly keep you away from KSR?
I got kind of bored, man. Like, it got to the point where I was like, I don't know what to do with myself, like finding new hobbies. And it was weird. I knew that I was going to have the beginning of July off. I had that one ready to go. I had to do some stuff up in Canada and took care of business up there. Got back, thought that I was going to have the rest of the month to regroup before some extended time off to begin August, right now, essentially. And then my second son decided to come 2 weeks early and really just shake up our world in the Pilgrim household.
Well, congratulations. I know it's been a while. You've mentioned it on your show and social media and on the site, but I don't think we've had you on the Happy Hour since you've been dad times two. What was that like? Retell the story of pulling up at the Peach Jam real quick and turning right around and going back last month.
So I get hour-ish, couple hours outside of Peach Jam, and Katie kind of lets me know that she's having some weird contractions, feeling like, hey, this doesn't feel like the things that I've been feeling the last couple of weeks, just something to monitor. We knew we had a doctor's appointment the day before, and they said might be something to keep an eye on. We were like, I mean, that happens on movies and TV shows. That doesn't happen in actual real life. So went down there and first night was a success. It was fine. Then day two, she woke up from a nap with some pretty strong real contractions, and it was like, hey, bud, just letting you know this is probably real. We should probably figure this thing out. And Mark Pope was very conveniently nearby. Also conveniently had 4 daughters himself and has a medical professional background. So I was like, I'll just ask this guy what he thinks. And he very quickly told me to get my butt in the car and go home. In fact, recorded a video. That was totally him. I didn't ask him to do that. He said, I'm recording this for you to send to your wife to let her know that he is kicking me out of the gym and I would not be welcome back at Peach Jam. I needed to be home. So yeah, that was very cool. Got back at 12:15 a.m., 12:15, her water broke. The baby was here at 4:15 a.m. It was just the craziest 24 hours of my life. But hey, I got a second baby and everything is fine. Baby's healthy, mom's healthy, and I'm still kicking, so we're good.
We're glad you're still kicking. Good to have you back here. A little quiet time for basketball, but we'll still get your thoughts on all the things we have dialed up, including a little football with Luckett. Tyler's always here with me. I think, Tyler, you're here for the Country Boy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying Shotgun Wedding for the first time today, so very excited about that. Brown ale aged on vanilla beans. It doesn't quite scream summer, but fall's almost here, right? So I'm ready for it.
Good. I have 2 in front of me. I don't know if I'll get through 2, but if I do, it'll be a fun show.
I was going to say, let the chat decide which one you drink.
Yeah, I got a little key lime and Witness the Citrus, my 2 favorites. Luckett, did you have any fun this weekend? Do anything exciting?
Not much. Took the boys out. Took them to the ballpark. Took them up to a local high school here. They had like kind of a fan night, so they got to play around. So that was pretty much it, and watch the Reds. And so we're chomping at the bit for football to start over here.
Good weekend for the Reds.
Pull up the shirt. You got a rep.
There we go. Right there.
There you go.
You said you took the boys to a local football game. It wasn't one of the many fights we had around the state. Whereas it seemed like we had a few brawls around the Bluegrass.
No, it was more of just kind of like Bullet East's fan fest event. To just kind of like, here's the team, everybody ready for school to start kind of thing. But no, it was a good time. Yeah, but chopping at the bit. Probably going to take them out to a couple games this year because it's right down the road. So if they would ever play Frederick Douglass, we could just rename it the Luckett Franklin Bowl. Luckett
do it.
Franklin Neighborhood Bowl.
Sponsored by Country Boy Brew.
We could have a Country Boy trophy or something.
Yeah,
That'd be
I
awesome.
can see the stadium out my window. We could tailgate here and walk over. I went to a little thing called the Findlay Balloon Fest. Steven has some pictures. I never knew I was a balloon guy, but if you go to a place that has 40 hot air balloons, well, that's a little chaotic. 30 to 40 hot air balloons is pretty wild time up in Findlay, Ohio. I didn't get to go up, although that was an option. I wasn't feeling it, but quite a fun time. It's my wife's hometown. It's probably the biggest thing they have other than Ben Roethlisberger. He's from there. He was not at the Balloon Fest, but they get like 20 to 30,000. And I was amongst them enjoying some ballooning up there in Ohio before the fun drive home.
When you say you didn't get to go up, is this just like what they do in Findlay? They just ride hot air balloons?
You can pay a little extra to go up. They do this once a year, 25th version of it. My wife's been talking about it since I've known her. I've never gone because this is a busy time for us, but I got to sneak up there this year. There, I think I thought I was controlling the flame with my hands. Might have had a few country boys at that point, but it was cool. We got to go up and talk to the people that do it. What a crazy thing to do. I even asked them kind of like, when this goes wrong, or if it goes wrong, is there a backup option? They're like, no, that'd be the end of all us if anything were to happen with these balloons. But it's just them, a basket, a flame, and that nylon. So pretty neat. I didn't know much about hot air balloons, but I had a good time up there in lovely Ohio before driving back, missing a lot of the football that went on. You want to talk a little scrimmage now? I have one more story, but I think I'll save it. So we'll get into some of the UK stuff because
Can I jump in on the hot air balloon topic real quick?
Yeah,
very
sure.
very briefly. So I revealed a couple weeks ago that I think the last time I was on here that I was once a Girl Scout. I also was once on a hot air balloon crew. That actual same era of Girl Scout time of my life. I also was a part of. My stepmom worked at Kentucky Telco, which is like a little bank thing, and they had a hot air balloon that was at like the Balloon Glow and all that stuff. And I would go and like chase the balloon on like Saturday mornings whenever they'd go and race them. I would go and be a part of the balloon chase crew. So I have random Balloon Glow hot air balloon experience in my life. I don't know really why. I think it was just kind of an extra thing that they signed up for and thought it was interesting for the same reason you do, because it's a big hot air flame and just cool to look at. But I do have hot air balloon experience in my life as well.
If I'd known, I would have invited you to lovely Findlay, Ohio. We went to Cheddar's, went to Cracker Barrel. I went to the Balloon Fest twice. We got up at 6 a.m. to watch the morning
6
balloons.
a.m.
Yeah. Not
Sunrise
my idea,
with the
but I had
balloons.
fun. Yeah, a lot of balloon talk.
I was up at the
Actually-
same time, but I wasn't watching balloons. Unfortunately.
I could have used a balloon. I'll just get into my embarrassing story before football. I could have used a balloon just a few hours ago when I went on my Country Boy run. Our regular viewers know that the last few weeks my fridge has been empty of Country Boy, so I made a point to run out and get some for today's show. And as I'm leaving, I have my 6-pack of the beautiful key limes and my 4-pack, because they're a little more high octane here, of the Witness, the citrus. Just whistling, carrying them along, get to the parking lot, get in my car, go to turn on the car, and I realize it is not my car that I am sitting in, and I have now put these beers in the back seat. I am in a stranger's car. Luckily, I'm quick to get out and close the door, but it reminded me of a time I did this, and it went much worse. I was at the lovely Leestown Kroger, about 2018-ish. It's been a while, but I still have the anxiety. It's late at night. There's like 4 cars in the parking lot. I leave Kroger with my groceries. I get in what I thought was my car, identical vehicle. However, they had their key in the cup holder, so it actually started when I hit the button. And I got 2 stoplights away before realizing I was in another human being's car. And I had to turn around, park it, get out, and walk over to my car, thinking when I was on my way back, I didn't know if I was going to see someone there standing in the parking lot to report it stolen. I didn't know what was going to happen. Luckily, I just tiptoed into my car and put theirs back where it was. But I don't know. Could I have gotten arrested for stealing a car in that moment? It took a perfect string of events. My car was spotless. Theirs was spotless. There was no nothing hanging, nothing I would notice. I just happened to get down the road and it kind of had a little air freshener smell. And because they had left their key fob in the cup holder, I was able to turn it on and drive it down the road. late at night. So avoided jail there. So I'm going to assume no one's had anything like that. But could you even imagine that being possible? Because I can confirm it is.
Who leaves their cars unlocked and with the keys in them? Like,
at least Town Kroger.
That's what's crazy to me about this. But that's wild. And also, like, what was the first clue in your first story about it was the scent of the air freshener?
There was a little bit of a smell. I was like, man, my car smells a little more strawberry than it normally does. But other than that, there was nothing around that didn't look like my car. But I don't really keep anything in it, so both were pretty empty. And I didn't get one stoplight away. I was 2 stoplights away when I realized this is not my vehicle. I'm almost 10 minutes from Kroger at that point, and I had to go back and park it in the exact same spot and then walk over to my car that was about 3 or 4 spots away.
I've had where I've gone to another car and like trying to open the door. I'm like, what? Or hitting the thing. Like, why isn't this working? But I've never sat down and drove someone else's car.
But almost did it twice. Almost did it again today at my Country Boy run, but this time they didn't leave keys in it for me to start.
Was this the same car? Like it was still your Highlander back in the day, like the same.
No,
type
this was. I've always been afraid to say what it is in case someone like owns it and knew about it. But no, this was a Nissan Altima.
Okay. So it's still a pretty common car, but
very common.
You should have put it in a different spot, park the wrong direction, and like move the mirror just slightly to give the appearance that like something is slightly off, and make them kind of realize it miles down the road. Like, I didn't leave my car this way. Just a little slight, nothing too egregious, but just something ever so slight for them to just think on it the rest of the day.
Yeah, my heart was racing driving back to park it. I mean, I probably ran those red lights to get back. I was terrified they were going to come out. And because mine would have been locked, and they would have just seen that their car was gone.
Yeah, you got to pour a water bottle out or something. You're the wet bandit.
I'm KSR's Grand Theft Auto guy. All right, let's get to the other stuff from the weekend. Football scrimmage. Adam Luckett, you were not there because this was not open to the media or fans. Only a few, I guess, some boosters, maybe a few special invites, maybe some local coaches. I don't know exactly how you get on the list, but we are not on it. However, we do have spies on the scene, and we learned quite a bit from it. Plus, Stoops spoke for 10 minutes. Calzada, J.Q. Hardaway. We got their version, but also the fan version. Sounds like even though still a little early in camp, you might have some battles, there was some load management. I think the biggest storyline was both running backs set out, McGowan and Dowdell, and they leaned on Jason Patterson, and it seemed to be a day to test the lines a little bit. That's what Stoops talked about the most. Is that what you got out of the main theme of what went down at Kroger Field?
Yeah, it seemed like the priority of the scrimmage was to like get run game work, let the first string offensive line get an extended look, and then Jason Patterson and Jamarian Wilcox were getting a lot of those reps, and then Zach Calzada, for the most part, got all the ones reps. I believe Cutter Bowley got a drive or two. So I think the big part of that scrimmage was just kind of see where they are, I guess, from a run game perspective. Mark Stoops kind of said he didn't love some of the run defense, but I've heard that's maybe a little coach speaky, that they actually played pretty well. Defense played pretty well in that scrimmage. And so that's where we're at. I don't think there's anything major there with McGowan or Dowdell. And there's still we still don't really know what Kendrick Law's status is. But there was definitely some injury protection keeping them out, or at least for this scrimmage, going on, and then really hammering away with those younger backs who are kind of competing for a spot. And again, it looks like this was like this in the spring, but Jason Patterson's RB3 right now. And I know
what do you make of Wilcox going from leading rusher a year ago to QB4 or running back 4?
Well, they were kind of forced to play him last year when I don't think they probably wanted to. And then it's like, oh, we got to play him because he's playing well. But I think there's trust issues there. Like last game he played, he had the ball stolen, like from right under his arms, and like what was it, second, third play of the game. There's just trust. I think there's a trust factor there, and they have more trust in, I think, Jason Patterson and these other 2 tailbacks. So I think that's just kind of how it is. It definitely does seem like it's trending away. Like this might be his last year here, right?
Well, and I feel like Stoops went out of his way to kind of praise Wilcox's mindset and talk about how he made like a leap of maturity and all that when he was talking a week ago or whenever it was. So clearly they want to see him walk the walk, right? Not just talk the talk. So
Yeah, I think that's obvious, but it's also like can't put too much stock into what they're saying right now.
100%.
And so you just you'll have to see how it plays out really when the games start. But this scrimmage felt like a chance for Wilcox to maybe make a move. And coming out of it, it sounds like Patterson was actually who had the better day of the two.
Jack, you kind of had the scoop yesterday of the Anwar Stewart interview on Sunday morning Sports Talk. You wrote the story about it. For those who haven't seen it, Anwar got a little chesty on the Sunday morning show. Why don't you catch everybody up on what the defensive line coach had to say?
Yeah, so for backstory, Anthony White's the host, and he was Anwar's teammate back in the late 90s, so they remain very close friends, have a country boy or two together on occasion. So when he comes on, it's a treat because he kind of lets his hair down a little bit, and it kind of gives some of the more unfiltered stuff, but definitely didn't go with the script of, hey, we're going to shut up and let our play do the talking. I think this was the first time we heard a coach pretty vocally say, we're here to prove some doubters wrong, Debbie Downers, if you want to use the exact quote. But I just thought it was funny. Stoops, 24 hours before talking about his players, they're very much the type right now to keep their mouth shut and play ball. And then his defensive line coach goes on, and I want to get the exact quote so I don't do that, but said, you know what, I'll just tell them to trust the process. Coach Stoops has been to 8 straight bowls. 1 year doesn't change that. 1 year doesn't change that. We'll get back to that. Come on out at the end of the month versus Toledo, and let's see. Let's see if what you guys saw last year, there's not a huge difference. We're ready to roll, man. We're ready to go. The guys are hungry. They're working their butts off. They paid the price. Now it's time to go. They want to be Debbie Downers and tell us we're going to be 4-8. Their ass can wait. They can wait till that first game and see what we have. So not shutting up and letting the play do the talking.
Truly,
are we all rethinking our right? Are we all rethinking our 4-8 season predictions? I mean, we've still got 4 days to send in your KSR staff predictions for the season. I was gonna go with 4-8, but I don't know, man.
Are you who he's calling out?
Downer? Maybe I thought it was Luckett.
Yeah,
okay.
I do tend to be at this point. I do tend to be kind of the negative Nancy on that show, with Anthony definitely kind of the sunshine pumper of wanting to believe that they can go bowling and all that, and I'm definitely the whoa. I'm tired of listening to the stuff. I want to hear it. So it did kind of feel like directed at, if not me, us, our kind of realm of the motivated Mark Stoops and all those things. But it did kind of feel like we've been pushing towards something like this, where we've heard kind of the little slight optimism with the offensive line returning to the big blue wall, Bush Hammond, a lot of like just the quiet buzz, but never anybody getting chesty. This was the first time we've gotten somebody chesty. So maybe this is kind of the internal, what they actually feel about the program, just, a little unfiltered version of maybe probably what should have gone on the airways, if you ask me.
Lucky, you mentioned it. Getting called out's nothing new to the 11 Personnel podcast.
I had a couple takeaways from this. One, it's like acknowledgement that they hear the noise. Like, it's acknowledgement just that they are paying attention to what people are saying about them, right? And then the other one is there's the 1 year blip thing again. And I think that is maybe the biggest like roadblock, I think, between maybe the fan base and the people that have been critical and then the program. The program sees it as that they didn't fall off, where I think people saw slippage over a 3-year period. And I think that is the biggest, I think maybe how people are seeing the ball differently there. And that's why I think maybe both sides seem to be seeing different things. So those were my 2 big takeaways. And then really kind of the 2, I guess, kind of soundbite-ish things we've gotten really since training camp started weren't even really, Jack was on there, but it was really like a teammate talking to teammate. It was that, and then it was Bush Hampton talking to supporters at the luncheon, right? Like the 2 biggest soundbite. So we've kind of seen them. We're kind of learning like what they really think when their guard is getting a little let down in these types of instances. They're more willing to, say things where when they get with us more, that's a lot more guarded.
Before we get to one other concern,
it was definitely building to something like I felt like it was going to come after the first big win. I felt like we were going to get remember the Calipari at Auburn. I felt like
you were gonna get something.
I felt like we were headed towards the football version of that. I don't know what it would have looked like or sounded like, but we were definitely building towards that. Specifically, I think if they beat Ole Miss or maybe even South Carolina early in the season, but that could still come. But we're starting to get, I think, a little bit. It's starting to get let out the bag, I think, a little bit before we get to the year starting.
Talking season needs to wrap up. They need to start. They need to get out there and actually have some results. I have one other big concern from football, but one more positive from the scrimmage. So we're not just doomers here, since it sounds like the coaches might already think that. This, and I'm going to knock on every piece of wood in this room, this is the healthiest they've been at this point in a long time, right, Luckett? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Stoops even said that on Saturday. It's kind of not just for Kentucky. It's pretty unique in college football to, at this point in camp, to still have a complete roster. And I know I'm probably did something just by saying that out loud, but that is a talking point after as they head into week 3 of camp.
Yeah. Whenever I mention this to Roush, she just gives me like a funny look, like how dare I even say it out loud. But yes, they are. Anwar Stewart even talked about that with Jack and them, and he talked about it last week when we talked to him after practice, just how big of a difference that has made for, I think, the whole football team. And now they're dealing with some minor camp things. And I worried about the running backs, just like, well, if they didn't play, like, what's the reason? I don't think it was totally a holdout. Is there some injury there we don't know about, whether minor or maybe a little bit more serious than minor? But for the most part, at least what Stoops is saying, they're in really good shape right now with, what is it? You got one more week, probably 10 more days of camp, and then they'll shift out of that and get into game prep. So, from that standpoint, it feels like as good as they've been all offseason, and they made some tweaks, I think, to the off-season training program over there in the weight room. Stoops has kind of talked about it a little bit, being more demanding of kind of his strength staff, and it seems like whatever tweaks they made, that's paying off, at least to this point in camp, because injuries, it wasn't just preseason, it was during the season. Injuries were a massive issue for that football team last year. It's not something we really talked about a lot just because there was so much going on with them. But that was a massive reason why they had the year they had. And so they're off to a much better start to this point in the calendar this year.
All right, the one concern, then we'll move on. Tyler, when you wrote the AP Top 25 post earlier, did you expect that Toledo was going to be among the teams receiving votes? We didn't expect Kentucky would get any, but with an already difficult schedule, your week 1 non-conference opponent is getting top 25 votes, and that spread is now down to 8.5. Does that add any concern, or is that just a MAC team getting love in the preseason?
I mean, I was surprised when I saw it. I was used to the preseason coaches poll, which came out a week ago, and Vanderbilt was one of the 3 Kentucky opponents that also received votes. It was like Vandy, Louisville, and Auburn. And so I automatically, my eyes were like looking for Vanderbilt under others receiving votes. And then I saw Louisville and I saw Auburn. Right before Auburn was Toledo. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just looked it up. Like, you can look up everybody's ballots, by voter. So Pete Yanity ranked Toledo number 21st.
Did you say Yanity?
Yanity.
Is he related to Trey Yanity?
Shout out Trey.
That's where my mind went. Yeah, I know.
Me too. Shout out Trey.
So somebody else voted them number 23, and 5 people voted them number 25, including Reese Davis. So,
oh yikes!
Yeah, Toledo's got some believers.
He's picking on Super Dogs week 1.
Oh yeah, got that one figured out.
But Pete Yanity, curious, he is a TV sports anchor in Spartanburg, South Carolina. So I would be surprised if there's a relation to Trey, but you never know. But yeah, I mean, Toledo's legit.
Wait, isn't Trey from South Carolina?
I think he is.
Yeah, Trey's from South Carolina. Uh-oh. We're gonna unlock this. A lot of people watching have no clue who that is. But you would not be watching KSR on YouTube without Trey. He was one of the first On3 video people that kind of kicked our butts in gear and said, "You are good writers. Why don't you go get on YouTube?" So shout out.
He walks so Steven could run.
That's exactly right. Stephen Peak of all people owes Trey. Love
He's
you back
owes
there,
him a
Steven.
KS bar. What was his favorite burger? The bourbon burger.
He got a beer
Yeah, I think
cheeseburger
so.
to go before a
Beer
4-hour
cheeseburger.
drive. I was like, "Are you
Yeah.
sure you don't eat that here?" No, just give me that beer cheese in my lap on the way home. There was some fun NFL preseason week 1 action over the weekend. Surprisingly, usually it can be pretty boring, but we had a lot of big topics. I'll start with one that is close to home with Jack Pilgrim. 1 to 10, what do you rate the Tom Brady statue in Foxborough? It's kind of gotten mixed reviews. You're a Pats guy. It obviously wasn't of the Dwayne Wade, Cristiano Ronaldo. Wasn't anything like that. But overall, how do you grade your boy Tom getting memorialized there forever?
It's a good 7.5. I think they did a really good job. It looks great. Just the head is so small. I'm really confused, but it looks like that picture of him when he has that snow jacket on, where his shoulder pads look this big and his head looks this small. It looks like that. They're almost teasing that. I just kind of wish he was holding up a Lombardi trophy. It kind of, the let's go. I don't know. Kind of doesn't add the emotion that Tom Brady necessarily had, but it happened right before an absolute beatdown of the Washington Commanders. So, hey, it was a really good Friday for New England Patriots fans.
Chris Rodriguez got a few touches in that game.
Nice.
Didn't do much with them.
All
Shout
right.
out Patriots
I
defense.
like it.
I thought he should have like an avocado in his hand or something.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good, except the head. It was just a little too small. As you said. If it's a little more proportional, that'd be one of the better statues I've seen. Tom kind of is a statue.
Yeah, whoever gave him the joke about it gives Jets fans something to throw their beer cans at whenever they leave in the second or third quarter, that was a good joke. I'm not going to give Tom Brady the benefit of the doubt that he wrote it himself, but I chuckled whenever.
He should have left it at that, because then he follows it up with another joke where he takes his phone out and goes, "Oh, wait, really? Yeah? Wow, well, I guess so." And then he hangs it up and goes, "Sorry, that was Coach Belichick. He says that it could have used some there's always room for improvement," talking about the statue. It's like, buddy, you nailed the first corny joke. Let's leave it at that. But I think he overdid it with dad joke number 2.
Yeah.
Luckett, your Bengals didn't win, but Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase still seem to be awesome. Was that had to have been exciting, or you crushed over losing a preseason game?
Yeah, if you fantasy football, that definitely. Oh, we just get a Bengal or 2 on my team. They'll probably be pretty good. So, yeah, we'll see. Just keep Burrow healthy. I'll take my chances. That's really my overall stance.
We were talking about this on the board earlier. Someone brought it up. I don't have it in front of me, but shout out whoever that was about the start of the year. Kind of a manageable first 2 games. Maybe get off to a better start this year.
We've said that before.
Shout out
So,
Patriots.
Hopefully it means good things. This is Burrow's first ever normal preseason. Knock on wood.
Yeah. I was going
To
to
this
say.
point, so hopefully that pays off when the games start. But Brown, they hadn't beaten Cleveland in Cleveland until last year, so it's not necessarily the gimme. It's been, as long as they got Myles Garrett over there, I'll be nervous. So hopefully it means good things. But
And Shedeur could be starting.
The offense looks gas, and Shedeur could be starting. I don't think that'll be the case, but do you have the stat line in front of you, Drew?
Of Shedeur?
Because I wasn't watching the game, and I see all these tweets about Shedeur, and I'm thinking, oh, he must have been is this 20 for 21 for 275? Do you have the stat? Because it wasn't that. It was 14 of 22 for $145
Against the second team.
Oh, yeah. This is what we're doing. This is preseason football. This sounds right. Because this is like some Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones had some preseason game where everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, he's really good." So that was interesting, specifically with all the people yelling at each other on TV about it.
Really, any preseason talk can just distract me and Tyler from the Titans.
Yeah.
We're going to suck again. Cam Ward actually looked pretty awesome. He didn't play much. He got a series. He threw it to Calvin Ridley just about every time. Those two give me hope. Anyone not named Calvin Ridley or Cam Ward, oh boy. Tyler, I think might be another long year for our Titans. Just a preseason game is the Bucs. They lost. It actually snapped a 5-game winning streak in the preseason. We have been good at preseason, but I'm afraid unless Cam Ward is like the Jalen Daniels reincarnated and does something special, we might be in the conversation for the number 1 pick again.
It's going to take a lot for me to have faith in the Titans. It's just bad. I didn't even really turn it on. Usually I'll tune into at least one preseason game just to kind of scratch the football itch. No, it was 6:30 or 7:30 or whatever time they played on Saturday. I was like, you know what? I think I'll watch King of the Hill instead. So, but we'll see. I don't know. I just feel bad. There's this, Drew and I like this apparel company called Hang TN, Have a Nice Game, Tennessee, and they make great Titans stuff. But I feel so bad for them because they're right around the corner for me, and they're putting out all this clever stuff, and they still have like a Will Levis collection they're trying to sell and get rid of, like $35 Will Levis t-shirts, and it's just gonna be bad, man. But hey, the new stadium looks cool. It's getting really tall. So
yeah, they're calling me about season tickets this week. I guess they didn't watch the game. My one takeaway outside of Cam Ward is I saw one of our cornerbacks trying to fight Tampa fans. I was like, well, at least that guy's got some fire. And then I looked closely. It was the Brownlee from Louisville. So the one guy with a little bit of passion is a former Louisville Cardinal, but he was trying to fight Bucks fans before the game. That's about the extent of being a Titans fan.
I think Bryce Oliver got a catch, right?
11 yards.
Hey, he's been pretty good. Yeah, Bryce Oliver.
He's like a staple with the Titans in the preseason. He's always there in training camp. I think my other highlight, even in the very little NFL preseason I watched this weekend, Ray Davis kicking the extra point. Like, that's so great. That's going to be featured on Hard Knocks, right? I mean, how could you not? Ray Davis, he's so lovable. I thought that was really cool. So he's number 2 on the depth chart at kicker right now for the Bills. Another reason to love the Buffalo Bills. So
they really love Ray Davis there, as they should. Not just his background, but he's got a great personality, as we learned in the 1 year with him here. I wish we had more than a year with him. But even though he's not the go-to option in that backfield, he's a fan favorite there. Love seeing him. And Deion Walker had a big game in the preseason. Had a pass breakup, couple hurries. If you read any of the stories on any of the Bills' websites and stuff, they're kind of raving about Big Deion's first performance. Hairston didn't play. He's got the injury that shouldn't keep him out too long. But Buffalo is a fun team to keep up with. Luckett, all the cats going on there, and they're all 3 major storylines, really.
Right, and they're going to be on a really good team. So a lot of primetime games and all of that. And specifically, I mean, all 3 of them could have pretty big roles on that Buffalo team. So they're going to potentially be in the limelight. Starts here with Hard Knocks, but you go and look at that Bill schedule. There's a lot of 4 o'clock Sunday night football, Monday night football. They're going to be in some marquee games all year.
Lucky, you asked me the stats in Cleveland of Sanders. I didn't even mention that 2 of his passes were to Brendan Bates. Did you know that?
I didn't realize
Bates,
that, but I knew
Bates had a day.
I knew Bates was up there in Cleveland with the Brownies.
Bates was Sanders threw to him 3 times, caught 2 of them for 30-something yards. A name that, honestly, that might be more production than he had in Kentucky, but he's become a Sanders target. We got Zion Childress going undrafted, potentially starting for the Cowboys right now. It's part injury situation, but also he's been very impressive in camp. I got on a PFF and looked at some offensive line grades. I don't know how into the weeds you all get on week 1 preseason, but I couldn't have gotten farther in the weeds. Marcus Cox, not bad for the Broncos. Eli Cox, I think, graded it like a 4 for the Texans. So some of the other rookies trying to make it, not great for them. Other headlines, I think maybe Wandale had a catch. Obviously, he's not playing in New York. We mentioned Chris Rodriguez. I think Trevin Wallace had a big game for the Panthers. De'Aaron Jackson had like 6 tackles. But in writing my my recap earlier and keeping up with the preseason, there's a lot more cats to keep track with than we've been used to in the past. So it's been fun keeping up with that. Did you all have any other major takeaways? Anybody get excited for the 70-yard field goal or watch the Lions game end and just a kneel out for 8 minutes? Any other exciting storylines?
It wasn't mentioned I don't think he played or had significant snaps or anything, but JJ Weaver was in People Magazine. That's pretty cool. Telling the story of his 6-finger hand. And
he got a tackle for the Panthers.
There you go. Yeah.
There's 3 Kentucky players in that game. It was Trevin Wallace, Weaver, and the other name's escaping me.
Quentin Bohanna? No, he's a Seahawk.
Who they play?
I can't remember who they played off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's escaping me too. If you get too far in the preseason, it all runs together.
Kentucky had it on their Twitter account. Let me go to it.
Yeah, it was just cool, like scrolling through Instagram this morning.
Oh, that was the Bates game.
Oh, it's JJ Weaver.
Yes, it was Browns Panthers. That's right.
Oh, as I see my storyline, I forgot the guy who actually played the worst, Devin Leary. My goodness.
Tough interception. Yeah, there's the red zone.
Well, He also, on his first pass, threw an interception that got taken away for a penalty, but it was another "what are you doing" moment. If you put his name into Twitter, Ravens fans are like, "Get him out." So I don't know how long. Larry had a good run there on the practice squad last year. It is one game, but a pretty poor performance from him there. That's enough nerding out on NFL preseason, which everyone will forget about here in a few weeks. We did get the basketball schedule today, Jack Pilgrim. Finally.
We got
the SEC last week. Now they're putting it all together with the non-conference. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, I do like it. I like that we get a little bit of a warm-up, some tune-up opportunities before the big one on November 11th. I think that's where we have all of our eyes. I like that, the exhibition games are going to be a nice little taste of real competition. And then November 4th and the 7th should be very comfortable wins against teams that Kentucky's actually haven't played Nichols. We played Valparaiso twice, and then Eastern Illinois got added to the. Unfortunately, Drew, we're gonna have to retire. Pour one out for BBN Invitational. Those are that is no longer there. We cannot cut down the nets this year, but we will be cutting down the nets in the BBN United Tip-Off Classic. Just rolls off the tongue so eloquently there. So yeah, I like the tune-up games before we get to Louisville. That one's obviously impressive, and then we know the rest of the non-conference. I think it's not the toughest of tough competitions, but a ton of name brand teams that will keep fan interest all the way up until yet another brutal SEC schedule. So I really, really did like the setup of the release today.
Remind me, what tournament are we getting excited about again? Because last year, I think me, you, and Zach and Jacob tried to make the BBN Classic a thing. And invitational. Yeah, whatever. When we asked the players about it after the game, they looked at us like we had four heads. They did not know what we were talking about. But we're going to force the BBN United Tip-Off Classic presented by Kentucky Tourism on everyone again, because when you win a championship, you got to celebrate it.
The Butsy.
But I mean, we all know. So the name of it, the BBN United Tip-Off Classic, is a nod to BBN United, which is basically the new Club Blue for revenue sharing. UK announced that on Friday. So I'm wondering how they're going to tie that in. Are there going to be like exclusive perks for BBN United members at the games? Are they just going to put them on, a subscription service and you have to be a part of BBN United to watch? Like, that would be cruel. But since that launched on Friday, I wasn't super surprised to see that they named the multi-team event after that. So,
sorry, I fell asleep. You were talking about BBN United, the most ridiculous thing they've ever done. Is the content going to improve? If you all don't want to hate on them, that's fine. I'll hate on them. But we know it takes them a month to put out a 2-minute interview. Are they gonna reward the fans with some good stuff, or is this gonna be like every 2 weeks? Here's Zach Calzada throwing a pass to Henry Boyer.
I mean, they're partnering with, was it Two Cities, which is like a fan experience marketing agency that I think they partner with the NFL and the Premier League and Wimbledon. So it's not just the JMI part of it. There is another organization involved, another company. So we'll see. But I mean, the details are very sparse right now. You can't even really sign up. All you can do is sign up to get updates on it. We haven't seen like a pricing thing. We just know there will be different tiers of subscription levels. So we'll see. But it's like, it's so hard to keep up with all of this stuff anyway. Like, it started with the 15 Club, then Club Blue, and now it's, BBN United. It's like, well, what's it going to be next week?
I give it 6 months.
And Club Blue is rolling over into BBN United. So if you are already a Club Blue subscriber, it's my understanding that you now are a BBN United subscriber. Is that how that works, Tyler?
Yeah. So all current Club Blue memberships are transitioning to BBN United. I mean, it literally is just Club Blue for revenue sharing, meaning all the money that you donate, all your subscription fees will just go to UK for the 20.5 million in revenue sharing this year. That goes up every year by 4%. So, I mean, UK's got to make money somehow. And, Mitch Barnhart talked about all the buckets of money and how they have to raise money. And now they're just asking for it directly from the fans for revenue sharing.
That gives me a little more hope. Club Blue with the events, they did a good job. I thought this was a separate entity where they were just charging fans to watch, a 2-minute interview with Humphrey Grace about being in Lexington.
I have a question. So they don't have a third-party collective operating on its own outside the university right now?
I never know. Like, is 15 Club just over? Like, is Commonwealth Causes just over? I guess that's a little different because it's charity. There needs to be more transparency about it. I totally agree.
I just say that because that's needed if this bill does not get passed. Other schools are using them right now. So you're going to need that probably here in this next recruiting cycle. So if they didn't have that and this bill does not get passed, which probably a decent chance that happens, then collectives are still going to be, armed and running without much policing.
Yeah, don't clean it up, dirty it up if everyone else is going to do it. You kind of need some of those collectives to stay in that gray area. But pull it all together with UK.
I hope they're not. My overall sentiment is that I hope they're not putting, because they're not the only one. I think there's other schools doing it, just assuming that's going to pass. And I think that would be a mistake because I think there's a more than decent chance that bill doesn't pass. And even if it does pass, NIL collectives, I think, are still going to have some type of role, but they'll have a huge role if this sports bill, the SCORE Act, does not get passed.
Well, I come off as a hater. I hope it works because it's needed. I just have my doubts with UK kind of getting involved. I mean, it's just, we talked about this on the morning show. They can't do the same content that, other media can. They can't talk about recruiting. They can't be critical. It just becomes very vanilla and basic. And, there's a lot of ways to consume stuff now, and they won't be able to do it all. But hopefully it works. UK needs to be a leader in NIL so we can be good at sports. I didn't have any strong schedule takeaways from the basketball. It's good that it's out. So, Jack, since we haven't heard from you in a while on other matters, anything new in recruiting? I saw Stokes went the hell off with 8 threes and a half recently. Anything new with him or any other targets Kentucky's watching?
Yeah, we got another official visit scheduled. Maximo Adams got his visit scheduled. We're starting to trend to that time where they have kind of, I think, cast a net of 12, 14 guys that they're now trying to get a little bit more narrow to see if those are our real targets. So right now it's like 12, 14. They're going to get it down to 8-ish, and then I think it's going to be 5 guys that they hope to get 3 of. And I think Tyron Stokes is obviously the absolute biggest fish. And if you land him, then really everything else will sort itself out. It's the one guy that, Mark Pope, I think, is saying to himself, this is my chance to get that monkey off my back from a recruiting standpoint. I think Kentucky has Nike on its side there. I think there are a lot of things playing in Kentucky's favor, with some speculation that Louisville may even be kind of falling out internally and allowing for Kentucky to kind of build up some momentum there. So I think it starts and stops with Tyron Stokes, and then you just kind of find complementary pieces, whether it's a Deron Rippey, whether it's one of the 75 7-footers they're bringing on campus. They're finding just kind of the right fits alongside their pride and joy, their baby Tyron Stokes. So I think get his commitment, then everything else will fall into place.
This season, maybe more so since Tubby Smith was here, it's going to be important to bring people back. We don't know how this roster looks, but in theory, if they meet expectations, you want a lot of returners from the current team. How many players do you think Pope will even pursue if all goes well and he can get a lot of the current guys back?
Yeah, that's the model for him. He wants to not have to recruit and take a bunch of high school kids. He wants it to be the Colin Chandler show next season. He wants it to be a Trent Noah and the guys, Jasper Johnson, Malachi Moreno, the guys that he's Braden Hawthorne. There's a long-term plan for him where they think that he can be a superstar down the road, not this season, but that is kind of the give and take with, okay, do you take a guy who's a late bloomer, who's, jumping into the top 40 of the recruiting rankings? How much do you play that guy knowing that that's just for somebody else in the portal to view and evaluate and throw a bag at next portal cycle? So it's kind of the give and take where they really want to keep those guys in house and really not have to add a bunch of high school talent. So I think priority number 1, 2, 3, 10 will be keeping the guys that they have right now, and then just hoping that you only need 2 high school signings.
While we're on basketball, we have a super chat. I'd win one asked, is this season Final Four or bust for Pope?
No.
We'll start. You don't think? I don't think so either. I think he's got
say or bust.
Yeah, Elite 8 or bust maybe. I mean, I'll go
Define
there.
bust.
But yeah, what is the bust? I mean, what do we do? I mean, I don't
We gotta
think
kick him out.
bust is in the equation.
I don't think you
Final
can-
Four or
Jack
be very
Pilgrim's driving him to the airport if Kentucky doesn't make the Final Four.
kicking him out.
You got a for sale sign on your lawn, buddy. Yeah, I don't think we're even remotely there. I think we're still in the honeymoon period. I think, you don't want to see anything worse than a Sweet 16. Yeah, I think it's the investment. You talk to other coaches at these recruiting events, and they kind of view it as hey, I would sure love to have $20 million to spend on my roster. Hopefully it works out. Congrats to Kentucky for being in a place where they can afford a roster the way Pope has built. But what is he going to do with it, I think, is kind of how other schools are viewing it. So you can't do worse than a Sweet 16 with how much they have invested in this group. I do kind of see a second weekend as the, or bust part of this. But I think anything beyond that, I do think that they're capable. I think this is a roster that can go to a Final Four and can win a national championship. But I wouldn't say that if he doesn't, then we're talking hot seat or anything like that. I think we're still in a ultimate feel-good period with Mark Pope.
Yeah, I do think it's important that they're not 8th in the SEC again. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta contend, I think, for that regular season title. Now, that's not something next year people talk about, but I think in this season that matters a lot. That you're up in that mix and you're considered one of, if you're doing that, you're considered a top 5 to 10 team all season, and then how the tournament goes. But I think that's important to show. We saw it in. I think we saw it in kind of patches last year with Pope, but to do that for a full season, I think would be a big and a nice step forward for, year 2 of his tenure.
And the schedule's tough. SEC schedule's really tough. I mean, we got those dates finally last week, and I feel like all the Saturday games, all the really hard Saturday games are on the road, which kind of stinks. But you do have the finale at home versus Florida on a Saturday. So that could be for the SEC regular season title, fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's happening, and they're going to the Final Four, so that's bus conversations are irrelevant. I will say
We got to go back to Indy.
Can't wait for that.
Oh, God.
FT, I will say I see your comment. I'm not going to read it, but same. Same. One thing I don't want to do is Luckett mentioning the 8 seed again. I never in my life want to have the conversation going to the SEC tournament of do we need to move the pregame show from at Tin Roof to Wednesday, or do people need to go home, book an extra room on the hotels? If you remember last year, the season finale at Missouri, a Wednesday game was still on the table. So Pope, you got that one in year 1, but no more of that. That's where I'm not in the bust conversation, but I don't want to have to do that again.
When I'm doing the SEC tournament scenarios mid to late February and early March, I don't want to. Let's do 1 through 4. I don't want to be a double digit. Kentucky's going to. They'll have to play South Carolina, and then they might have to play this, and then win a couple games, and they're on Friday. Let's. It's been a long time since they've played on Saturday, so
I think a lot of it.
Let's get to that. That should be one of the top goals this season is to play on Saturday at the SEC tournament.
I think a lot of it is going to be meet in the middle. We hit all the check marks of beating Louisville, beating Duke, having the name brand wins last season made the history with the top 15 wins and all that. But I do think that there is something to be said about being in the conversation to win the SEC regular season championship. If you're there, win several games, make it to Sunday, win the SEC tournament. And then I think everything else is just kind of icing on the cake. Sweet 16 still kind of being the floor there. But if you were to say Kentucky goes to a Sweet 16 and loses, but still wins the SEC regular season championship and makes it to Sunday, there are other things leading up to that point that I think fans go, oh yeah, we're still rocking and rolling.
Yeah, add something notable to the Wikipedia page, whether it be a Final Four appearance, an SEC title, or an SEC tournament title. Something I think the fans really care about.
Steven has a crazy stat. Steven, put that back up. The 5-13. Kentucky went 5-13 on Saturday in the SEC in basketball and football. That's depressing.
I was there for many of them. I remember him updating that tally every single Saturday, usually driving back 8 hours and hearing this in my ear. Yeah.
The thing about Steven is he'll let you know that stat, as Jack says. I would walk into Rupp Arena and he'd be like, we're 4-12. Got to do better. It's like we tracked that one as the year went on. That's got to improve. One of our favorite things we do as a society, even though it's weird, is we like seeing the inside of other people's houses. And today we got to look inside Anthony Davis's $40 million mansion. It looks nothing like my house. I'm going to assume, I haven't been in Luckett's house, Jack's house, or Tyler's house, but I'm going to assume they probably don't have a house like that either. So why don't we just pick his apart? We've never seen anything like this. Look at this mansion. Come on. Dozen bathrooms. Who needs a dozen bathrooms? Who cleans a dozen bathrooms? I think it had 8 bedrooms. The backyard, if we have that photo, it looks like a resort. $40 million for Anthony Davis's home for sale in Bel Air. Now that he's in Dallas, he has to get rid of this thing. I mean, Tyler, who needs that much home? I guess when you're a max NBA guy, this is what
shout out Star Wars.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, big take for Star Wars there. It's pretty crazy.
Got a Randall jersey?
Yeah,
jersey.
see, I thought that
DeMar
was
DeRozan.
Blue got in.
Yeah. Look at that. Look at that
Come
backyard.
Come on, Anthony.
I mean, the sunken fire pit outdoor living room, like that is luxe. What is the staff? Like how many staff run that house? It's got to be a lot, right? Like 12 people or 12 bathrooms. Somebody's got to clean all those bathrooms. It's incredible. I will say this, like, the furnishings aren't really my thing, but his taste in art is really impressive. Like he's got some cool artwork up there.
Do we think this is Andy Davis's art or this is staged?
I think they staged it.
I think he had pictures of the 2012 run. Maybe more.
I would like to think that.
I think I saw another photo at his bar. He has an Aaron Rodgers jersey in there somewhere.
He was on an episode of Tanked.
Oh,
He
yeah.
got some crazy fish tanks, so that's got to be in there. Like
That
if I was
his first
ever had
house
that
in
much
New
money,
Orleans.
if I ever had that much money, one of the first things I would do is get just some ridiculous fish tank to put somewhere in my house.
Put an orca in
He's
there.
definitely got that in there somewhere.
It's an old KSR website memory of that video. I think in that episode, DeMarcus comes over, right? And they're like playing with his fish tank.
I think so.
That was in New Orleans. That was like 3 Anthony Davis houses ago.
That's crazy. Like, and when it comes time to move, how do we get the fish tank going? I mean, do all the little fish have different Tupperwares? I mean, some of those fish I imagine are pretty big. Are they like in the back of Anthony Davis's car? Do they get like a special like fish transport?
He starts from scratch. Those things are going down the toilet, and he's
fish come with the house.
He's getting.
So he probably sells them to someone, and then just gets new fish.
He's not putting them on Facebook. No, Anthony is grilling them. He's grilling his exotic fish on his way out and buying more when he gets to New Orleans. I saw it has a barber shop. There's a child's playhouse that has its own HVAC and electricity. I mean, we saw the movie theater. Well, guys, we just weren't good enough at basketball. I don't think blogger salaries are ever going to get us there.
I could live in his pool house. I'd be happy with that. The pool house looked kind of nice. So
we're gonna need a lot more super chats to buy that for the next KSR compound. Let's get to some of the Q&A. I've seen none of these, so we'll just be going off the cuff here. Oh boy, another one I can't read very well. With the 7 foot, have someone have at it.
With the 7 foot foreign player already having visited on July 31st, another 7 footer, Diane, scheduled mid-September, and Taylor and Irving, both in the 7 foot range, visiting for March Madness in October. Would the Cats be prepared to accept the commitments of any of them now? No idea how they do this, but I would assume they have a pecking order, maybe set 1 to 4. With at least one they would instantly accept. I'm going to defer to Jack because I'm not sure where we're going here.
Hopefully not Diane. Don't know how that's going to help our chase for number 9. But no, I don't know. I think they are kind of in wait and see mode because the 2026 class is horrific outside of Tyron Stokes. So I do think they're kind of waiting to see how these guys progress through their upcoming high school seasons, and then getting to the spring and seeing how Brandon Garrison, if things click for him this season and he's a guarantee to leave, and like some of the other in-season dynamics of the current roster, and as we talked about earlier, those guys potentially coming back. If Malachi Moreno plays up to his McDonald's All-American status right away and looks like a clear one and done, then you go, well, shoot, I guess we do need to get a guy sooner rather than later, not wait until the 11th hour when he leaves sooner than expected. So I do think that probably not. They are not in a position to take a commitment like that. I think Stokes is the only guy that you can feel pretty confidently that they'd take him 3 years ago if that was the possibility. But I think everything else is kind of wait and see mode.
I see in the comments, Bobby English asked when we're going to do one of these at Country Boy. Bobby, I've already told him I want to do one, maybe even next week. Because when football season starts, we get busy. But I want to get over to the new facility. Maybe anyone that's in Lexington, we can time it right with a football press conference or something. But Bobby, to answer your question soon, we'll let you know so you can come hang out. We'll have a beer. Next Q&A.
We got a super chat.
Oh, no, I'm not seeing these. Thank you for reading them. I'm sorry to everyone I've missed. Questions for all four of you. What player are you going to be rooting on the most in basketball? It's from our good friend Westford Robin, and he has us $5 closer to a bid on Anthony Davis's house. Thank you, Westford. Who wants to go first? I have an easy answer, but I'll Tyler, why don't you? We'll do a little round table.
After talking to them for stories that will be coming to KSR soon, got a soft spot for Jasper Johnson. I mean, I think everybody knows his family's legacy. Alvis Johnson, the great high school coach, and then Dennis, his dad, a great UK player, the Sports Illustrated National Player of the Year as a high schooler. Kind of got to talk to him about his relationship with his grandfather, Jasper and Alvis, and that's really special. Excited to share that. I also got to talk to Mo Diabate, and I love him. Like, he's great. His story is amazing. Just him talking about Mark Pope, kind of connecting with his family and visiting them in Queens was really special. His relationship with Hamidou Diallo is really unique. So for their off-court storylines, those are probably the two I'm cheering for the most. But I mean, I think everybody on this team's got a great story. That's kind of been the beauty of the Mark Pope era. And I think most people would say Trent Noah because he's a Kentucky kid and he's been shooting the lights out. But I'm excited for all of them.
Knowing one Jaden Quaintance, please. I will take the future top 5 pick. And it's still surreal to me that we can even talk about Jaden Quaintance being on this roster, knowing where we came from and how this all started and how he was, had the weird falling out with Coach Cal when Cal left in the middle of the night to Arkansas, and he kind of made it clear that he was going to listen to Kentucky's first pitch if the next head coach wanted him, and he's been invested from this way longer than any of these guys, and I just think it's a really cool full circle moment for that guy of his caliber and future as a potential all-NBA type of talent for him to be kind of the anchor in the front court this upcoming season when he does get healthy. But man, I cannot wait to watch him in a Kentucky uniform. Hey
Jack, did Jaden pass his driver's test? Do we know?
I'm gonna no comment on that because he didn't take it, actually, is my understanding. At least in the time that, Mark Pope, the Instagram Live, it was funny. The Brady Bunch challenge and the egg and all that stuff, it was hilarious. I loved that. But I reached out to his dad the next day and was like, hey, so Jaden passed it? How'd we do? And he was like, yeah, he didn't take it. I was like, kind of kills
Mark Pope's an engagement farmer.
Exactly.
So are we. I'm good.
Real respect.
He's the problem with media today. Is it the case he just couldn't get an appointment? Because I've heard it's impossible to get an appointment. Maybe. Is that maybe that's it?
That was also the day that everybody traveled back to there. I mean, they ended practice, and I think Jaden Quaintance posted a picture from his Instagram story in Florida like an hour and a half later. So they were all ready to get the hell out of Joe Kraft Center and go home for a couple weeks. So I will check back in, see how the test did, but he did not take it right when he got back to just definitely a logistical issue there.
Look at the scoop you get on the KSR Happy Hour presented by Country Boy Brewing.
Also, what a ridiculous time to be alive. Do you think anybody else in sports talk about whether a 18-year-old kid passes his driver's test? No, because BBN is one of a kind, and that's why we love you guys.
I know one other UK big man who didn't have his driver's license until he was 18. He was a little too busy focused on basketball. It worked out for him. DeMarcus Cousins, he didn't have an ID when he was at UK. Guess, when you're that popular and you have millions waiting on you, you're just not in a hurry to go parallel park take your test and get that. You got other people to drive you around. Luckett, who are you looking out for?
I'd say Jalen Lowe. I think for this team to be at their best, he needs to be pretty good. And I think you go back to that portal commitment. Reactions were mixed. They missed, the Donovan Dent thing happened and the Silas Demery thing happened. And then it just seemed like in real time, they just pivoted too low there. And so for him, I think if he has a good year, he's potentially like another draft guy potentially for Pope, when you start looking at it from that prism as well. So I think for Kentucky, he's a big part of everything they want to do. I think they're pretty deep, but when you kind of look at point guard, I don't know if you want him out of the lineup for any extended period. And so he's really important to the team. So for the team to be at their best, I think he's got to be a really big part of that.
I just want a lot of the Kentucky fans who complained when Pope got him, the whiffs, the third option, we all saw it. So, it's more of the internet presence. I'm guilty as anyone of thinking that Twitter is real life sometimes, but there were some people that consider themselves real Kentucky fans that acted like Lowe was just some reach to get. So I can't wait for him to have a big year and tell all those people to eat it. I know some of them, Luckett, we're in a group chat with some of them, but you all left me my favorite. I can't believe you did this. Matt G. Who else said it? Bill Deaton. We all know it's Colin Chandler time. Buckle up. It's happening. Don't make me do the stat again. But sophomore Colin Chandler, he might buy Anthony Davis's house next year because he's going to have that big of a season. I cannot wait for Colin Chandler. Just the whole – I feel like people overlook the mission thing and what it did to his trajectory as a basketball player. And he finally hit that stride late in the year. He's had a whole summer with the team. He's married, so he has nothing else to do but play basketball. We're all married. We just watch shows and hang out with our significant other. That's what he does. He's watching Netflix documentaries and getting ready for the basketball season. He's not going out. He's not doing anything crazy. Colin Chandler is all about his business, and I cannot wait for next year. I don't know if he'll ever get in a starting role because they're pretty loaded, but it will be very difficult to keep him seated on the bench because that dude's going to command some minutes.
Watching
Beth Riddle,
Severance
I see
and
you
hitting
getting
threes.
in it too. What's that?
Watching Severance and hitting threes. This is Colin
Exactly.
Chandler. Did we ever settle on a nickel or a nickname for Colin
Mormon
Chandler?
Mamba.
Mormon
That was
Mamba.
going around.
It's
Yeah.
pretty good.
There are some others that probably
Mamba's doing a lot of work for us here.
Yeah.
Worried we're getting
Yeah,
too
I do. We over
reliant on
Mamba.
Mamba.
It is. We did over Mamba. Yeah.
If not for Mountain Mamba, Mormon Mamba would be great, but Mountain Mamba was first, and it's just we can't recycle the bit.
Yeah, we've reached the Mamba quota. We're maxed
One.
out on Mamba.
The issue is a lot of Collins were pre-marriage nicknames, so now I don't think a lot of them apply anymore. So I think we need to, as BB and a collective, we need to get a little bit creative now that he's married Mamba.
Well, if you'll allow me, I have a great track record with these. Oh, the Country Boy's kicking in. It's very simple. Do y'all remember sophomore Nick Richards? It worked. Sophomore Colin Chandler. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Remember when the Charlotte Hornets started calling him Junior Nick Richards? You know where that originated? Right here. Right here. We're doing the same thing with sophomore Colin Chandler. Breakout year incoming. How many more we got? Let's hit another one. If you had to swap, this is our boy Jacob. Hello, Jacob Polachek. If you had to swap two players from Kentucky's football team to the basketball team and vice versa, who would they be? Great question, Jacob Polachek. Luckett, there's got to be some
quarterback.
What's the scoop, Luckett? They have that basketball go over there. They've been tracking it with UK football players for a while, who the ballers are. I know Max Hairston used to be able to play a little bit, but he's gone. Do we have any studs?
Otega Owe could play football without a doubt in my mind.
His brother's a edge rusher for the Baltimore
That's very
Ravens. That's
true.
a winner.
I was starting with the other way around, Luckett, with the football going to basketball. But yeah, that obviously Owe.
Football.
JQ Hardaway? I feel like there's been clips of some guys playing a little bit.
Yeah, let me go. That's a good question. Maybe JQ. He does have like kind of the body type. JJ Hester's like he's got like the 6'5", 200 pounds. Like looks like a wing.
What about Pete? Who's stopping Pete?
I knew we were eventually going to get
Put him
there.
in the paint.
It was inevitable.
We need some front court depth until Yelovich gets over here. While we're waiting for JQ, we need a big butt guy down low, as Ryan Lemon would say.
Aiden Laros could give the basketball team some toughness, so maybe that would be better.
Always way too easy of an answer for basketball going to football.
Yeah, it's like automatic.
I I don't know
Jasper
many
played
others.
quarterback for Woodford County.
It's a good
That's
one.
true.
Yeah.
There we go.
I feel
There's
like
our
Mo
two.
Diabate would be good on a football field. He seems physical.
Jalen
No
Lowe
one-
is quick as all get out. So I think you could put. I wonder if he could beat Kendrick Law in a foot race. I think that's a good one.
Ooh.
I would
Set
be
it up.
intrigued by a Colin Chandler experiment at wide receiver.
Ooh,
Well,
jump
I'm
balls.
actually
6'5", can run, absolutely run. I would be intrigued by that.
I'm Googling on the fly, but I have a memory last year of the basketball team working out at Kroger Field. Didn't Colin Chandler like throw a touchdown pass and he looked like a natural?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull that up. I know I didn't.
Colin
dream
does
that.
everything. He plays golf. He bowls. He's just kind of this aficionado of all things. So I
plays
think
chess.
that's a safe bet.
Excuse me, sophomore Colin Chandler. We're a little past 5. I have to go roll my parents' trash bins down to the street soon and check on them. But before I do we have any more questions? If not, we'll wrap it up, or I can go to some comments.
The
Can
graphic
you inbound the
button's not
ball by
working.
kicking it? Trying to see if we had any more. There we go.
There we go. You have 5 days to live. What are your last 5 meals? So this is from KS Board. JSP94 says his would be Tex-Mex, Italian, sushi, Cuban food, and barbecue. So
I'm going to change the
going
question. Those are too vague. Name some restaurants or some specific items.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 5 restaurants on your last 5 days. Just the categories is too broad.
Yeah, I would go Jeff Ruby's steak, the ribeye with a side of the mac and cheese, and the Freddy salad, which is like basically the version of the Lexingtonian at Malone's. That would be 1. 2 would be 5 Points Pizza, pepperoni slice. 3 would be Iggy's, which is an Italian restaurant here in Nashville, has an awesome pasta bolognese. It's amazing. Any pasta, basically, would be my 3rd. I'll just come up with 3.
Yeah, we'll just do 3. Luckett, I know you're going to say Roosters 3 times, but do you have any other?
Roosters would be on there. There's a place in Jacksonville where my in-laws live called Moondog Pizza.
Okay.
And their Philly cheesesteak pizza is the best thing I've ever had in my life. So I would go there, and their side, everything they have there is awesome. So I go Moondog, Roosters, and then would have to go to some type of steak place, some either a Ruby's or a Tony's, something like that.
I am we're going Chewy's for the creamy jalapeno
nice.
chips. That's an absolute win. La Barbecue in Austin, Texas. Forget Terry Black's and some of the other kind of tourist staples. La Barbecue is the best. My brother lives there, and I ate there with him, and it was by far the best I've ever had. So going that, and then. Amazing Thai on Shelbyville Road in Louisville, Middletown. Pad Kee Mao is the best Thai I've ever had, and Thai is my favorite food, so I will absolutely be including that in my options.
Oh, good call on Thai. I didn't know you're a Thai guy. We'll have to get some Thai next time you're in for a game. I'm going to keep mine in Lexington. People always ask for recommendations. A couple nights ago, I took the mother-in-law out to Carson's for a birthday. There's just really not a more consistent and better option than Carson's in Lexington. I don't care what you get on the menu. It's going to be good. It's pretty reasonable for the quality. Tony's and Jeff Ruby's are kind of experiences. Not everybody can afford it. When you eat at those places, you know you were there. You feel that one for a little while. But Carson's keeps it somewhat budget friendly. So I'm going to say Carson's, specifically the ribs. Taco John's is number 2 for me. Former employee. If I'm going out, I've got only a few days to live. I'll go back to where I worked in high school. It's also the best Tex-Mex fast food. I love you, Taco Bell, but Taco John's is a little closer to my heart. And number 3, I feel like not to be lame, you get sentimental. I'd have to go down with KS Bar. I'd have to just be sitting there at KS Bar, stuffing wings in my face, drinking beer, and probably watch Ryan Lemon do something stupid. So those are my 3.
I can't believe Taco John's over Taco Bell.
Well, I love them both equally. I'm actually wearing Taco Bell flip-flops right now by Crocs. But
Prove
Taco
it.
John, it's a little more sentimental. Look, Taco Bell flew me across the country. I love them. But in high school, I worked at Taco John's. I cleaned bathrooms. I rolled tacos. I worked the drive-through. It was one of my first jobs. So if I'm leaving this planet, I feel like that'd be a good book in there. But we could talk food all day. See a few Matt G says Mama's Barbecue. Is that place in Louisville?
Yeah, it's good.
It's very good.
Oh, yes, it is. I've been there one time. That was amazing. Good
Very
call
good.
on that. I haven't had that in years. Someone said Chewy's, then Matt said GTFO here with Chewy's. Chewy's
Wrong.
is pretty good.
Chewy's is
Matt.
amazing. Yeah.
That ranch queso is awesome.
I'll wrap it up. John asked when KSR is going to have a pickleball tournament at Country Boy. It's not a tournament. It is me and Shannon are playing each other and the listeners on Wednesday, the 27th. So
Nice.
little Country Boy shout out there.
Nothing like
spot.
getting ready for week 1 than a pickleball tournament with Drew Franklin and STD. Like that is what week 1 content is all about.
Are you experienced? How good are you at pickleball?
I've played zero pickleball in my life. Shannon owns multiple paddles and plays regularly, so I don't know how competitive it'll be. Also, I will be coming off of a bachelor party, brother-in-law's bachelor party, so I don't know how interested I'll be. But we'll be there, and I think I'm going to play Shannon, and then Shannon and I are going to play 2 listeners. But, yeah, that's the 27th, more Country Boy fun, and I hope to do Happy Hour there again. It's right down the street from me, so we want all the Country Boy. They've been a good sponsor with us here on the Happy Hour. We'll do some football videos with them. We have a lot of great sponsors that help us exist, but going back over the years, I don't know if there are any like Country Boy. So and this is a good way to wrap up the Happy Hour presented by Country Boy. Got a little bit left in my first one. Definitely my first one, not my second one.
We didn't hear that top pop at all. No way.
I wondered. Tyler, Adam, Jack, thanks for spending an hour and 11 minutes with us. Happy Hour, always fun doing this. To all of our viewers who participated, especially our super chatters, thanks for watching us. We'll be back next week talking more things. At that point, we'll be even closer to the Kentucky-Toledo game. Hell, the spread might be under a touchdown. Who knows? But we'll check back next Monday and everything in between. Sources say, 11 personnel, the website. You know the drill. We're always working. Thanks for being a part of it, and we'll talk to you later. Go Cats.